Right, it's finally time to eat. Clodagh's here with a classic winter warmer.
Yes, chicken pie!
And
I mean, how good does that look?
So
I know.
beautiful.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, and I am actually, I'm
Perfect.
going to take this home and have this for dinner tonight.
Yeah, don't
It's
blame
so
you.
good. So the first thing, I'm making it with shop-bought pastry. So that takes a lot of work out
the
of
drama.
it. So it's really all about the filling. I've got some butter melting in a pan, and it's a one pan to make all the fillings. You don't have lots of pans hanging around. I've got my butter melted, and then I'm adding in shallots to give sweetness.
Oh my
Do
gosh.
you notice that there's a lovely sweetness in the filling of it, which is really yummy, and I'm sweating
More so
that
than
down.
onions.
More so than onions.
Yeah.
Onions don't bring a sweetness unless you really caramelise them for a long time.
Right, OK.
But the shallots will bring a lovely sweetness. But if you have onions, just use onions. And then next goes in my leeks. I've got chopped up leeks inside there. Again, if you don't have leeks, you could use extra cabbage that I'm using as well. What do you think of it?
I think it's amazing. This is happiness.
Oh my gosh.
Under a pastry lid.
It's exactly what you'd want.
So, and then I'm
From a
also
chicken
putting
and
in
mushroom
garlic
pie.
as well. So you want to sweat these down for like about 2 to 3 minutes and give that the time, like to sweat down, because this is the only thing that's actually going to take time, is the making the filling. So give that time to kind of sweat down a little bit like that. And then I'm putting in mushrooms. And I love to use chestnut mushrooms because they've got that lovely nutty flavour. But if you can get buttons, that's fine. So whatever mushrooms that you have, or you can find, you know, use them. But chestnut
Mushrooms are lovely.
definitely bring lots of lovely flavour. And then cabbage. I love cabbage because it wilts down really nicely and it gets lovely and silky in there. But you could use spinach, or you could use kale or cavallonero, and you just bulk it all in here. Now, it looks quite like, oh my God, like this is like loads of filling, but it does all really soften down. You need to cook it for about 10 minutes, and let me do a little switch. Oh my God, I got so worked up at that competition. I feel like I'm like,
So did we.
my adrenaline is flying
That
from
was
it.
exciting, wasn't it?
It was so exciting.
The people who are paying for it are really worked up.
Yeah, I bet she won so much money. OK, so we put this aside and we cook that one for about 10 minutes. And once it's cooked for about 10 minutes, it comes out looking like this.
Yeah, look at the difference.
Yeah,
I mean, it really
big
wilts
difference. Yeah, there's quite a big difference between the two of them. So this one here is like wilting down. So we put salt and pepper on it like that. And then all the flavours get so yummy and intense and kind of wholesome and everything like that. And then I put the chicken in on top of this. And then that is the filling done. You leave it to cool completely. No, it's not done completely. I knew I was going to forget this part.
What is
Well,
that
you
bit?
thought you were going to forget the chicken.
I thought I was going to
I was
forget the
all
chicken.
poised and ready to remind you not to forget to put the chicken in. But you actually forgot. What did you forget?
I forgot to put in the flour and also the cream and the milk to
Oh,
make
so
this
most of the ingredients
But
in that
actually,
case.
I don't know why I even said it, because I haven't forgotten it, because it's right now. I shouldn't have done it. And yeah, I put in the flour next, and what the flour does is the flour will thicken up the sauce once I put the milk and the cream in. But what you want to do is make sure that you thicken up and cook out all of that flour before you add anything in. So make sure you stir it all the way around, give it a minute to cook, because otherwise you can actually taste the flour in it and you get that.
Yeah, it's like when you make a white sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to sort of cook it off.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where the creaminess comes in. So you put in your milk and then you put in your cream. If you wanted to be super fancy, you could add a splash of white wine, but I actually don't think this needs it. It's kind of wholesome and yummy, isn't it? It doesn't really need it.
So good.
And then what you do then is just give it a really good stir, and then you let that cook away until it gets really thick and creamy. Now, that takes about 10 minutes as well. And then when it's completely cooked, you let it cool completely. So putting all the pastry and the pie together, the key is that everything is chilled.
Can I just interrupt? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
in case I misunderstood. Is your chicken par cooked when you put that in?
Yeah, it's browned. So I browned that chicken before. So it's not par cooked because it's going to get cooked in the oven.
Right, OK.
So that has
You've
been
browned
browned.
it for flavour.
Sorry, yes, I browned the chicken first.
Yeah.
And then I removed it.
You might have said it and I might have missed it because I was too busy eating. But
Oh, yeah,
just
no,
in
but it's a
case.
really good question. Yeah, I browned it first, then I removed it, and then I put it back in once it's been browned, and then it'll cook completely in this 10 minutes here, and then also in the oven afterwards. And then everything has to be chilled down, because if everything doesn't get chilled down, you get really really soggy bottoms.
Is
Yeah.
that what makes the soggy bottom?
Yeah, when everything is warm. And also the type of pastry you use. So I'm using two different types of pastry. A short crust pastry at the bottom like this. This tin is about 8 inches, 20 centimetres. It's a pie dish. And then I chill this in the fridge for about a half an hour before I put the filling in. And the filling is completely chilled. And then I add it all in on top of this. And then on the top, I use puff pastry.
If I ever make a pie, I'm too scared to put anything underneath it. I always just stick a lid on because of that reason.
Because
But
the
I've never heard
sogginess-
anyone say that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's because of everything being, everything has to be chilled, and also the type of pastry. If I put a puff pastry underneath it, it would get quite soggy. And before I put the topping on, or if I put the top on, I mean, I can squeeze all of this in, but before I put the top on, if you wanted to bulk this out, save money and bulk it out, what you could do is add loads more cabbage to it, loads more, like you could put frozen peas into it, and bulk it out with like just vegetables, and then you could freeze, like just like the batch freezing, you could freeze half it. Next week, then have it with piped potatoes on top of it.
Yep.
And then you've got 2 in 1. So this is the puff pastry that I'm popping over. And the reason I put puff pastry on top, because it brings a lovely, light crispness to it. And then you just trim around the edges, which is simple like that. And then you just pinch down the side. And then it goes into the oven for 20 minutes. So just pinch down the side like that. And then the very, very, very last thing, I know I'm running out of time, but I'm going to get there, is you have to put slits in it.
Because that's
Otherwise,
steam out.
it'll completely take out. And then if you do have a spare egg, gloss it all over, and then, very quick gloss, into the oven.
How long's that cooking for in there?
20 minutes in a very hot oven,
Yep.
200 degrees Celsius if it's like a non-fan, and if it's a fan, it's 180 degrees Celsius. And
there
it
it
comes
is.
out looking like that.
And it is absolutely stunning.
Isn't it good?
It's
The
gorgeous.
mushrooms.
The mushrooms
lovely.
are good in it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
very much.
Thanks, Clodagh.
Thank you. For details of today's recipe and more delicious ideas from our chefs, download the free This Morning app.